So this Who Would Win of the Week that we've got this week is Benjamin Gates from National Treasure, which we've talked about plenty of time on the podcast, against the infamous Captain Jack Sparrow. So we've got two Disney movie characters going head-to-head here. Two of my favorite movie series.
Yeah.
Just two of my favorite people in general. I'll let you take us away from what you go ahead. Get involved.
I don't know. My brain is going to have to make this decision because I don't think my heart will be able to choose between these two guys for who's going to win. I will say Pirates of the Caribbean. I've said this before on Film Juice. The best way to watch, there's 5 of those movies. The best way to watch them is in reverse order. Because they get better if you do it like that.
Really?
I watched them like recently, and I watched them in reverse just for whatever reason. And I was like, I like these movies a lot better watching them backwards. Because you know that first one is so good that like that's going to be sort of your treat at the end. And that first one is amazing. And Jack Sparrow in that movie is
amazing. Alex and I tried to watch all 5 the other night at once, and we made it through the first 3 and never made it
the third one is so fucking long. I would have given up after that one without a doubt.
Well, that's kind of like what did us in. Oh, sorry, my laptop's doing something funky here.
That's all
right.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you do a live show, folks.
Yeah. Well, I got like a... Yeah. Okay, now we're back. We're back. So, Benjamin Gates has not only stolen the Declaration of Independence, found the Templar treasure. He's found
the City of Gold.
The City of Gold.
And the President's Secret Book.
He's done things. He's done things that people could not imagine, and he's somehow still not in jail. And we have to assume that he also, since then, has found out about alien civilizations.
Yeah, for sure.
We won't get into it, but I'm just saying. No. If you look on page 47, here goes my laptop tweaking out again.
The third one. It's because we're talking about page 47, man. They're on to us.
Yeah, the government is They want to know what information I have on page 47 as far as the President's Secret Book goes. But you look at a guy like Captain Jack Sparrow. He was the captain of the Black Pearl, a ship that leaves no survivors. But then again, if it leaves no survivors, who's telling the stories? He's escaped Davy Jones's locker.
He's been
been a skeleton. He's been unskeletonized. He's been in jail. He's done wicked shit. And if there's one thing that you always have to remember about Jack Sparrow is that day will forever be the day that you almost captured Jack Sparrow.
Except they do capture him once.
Sorry, my laptop. I hate to interrupt this, but yeah, well, he ends up in jail a few times, or like in a place where he doesn't want to be, stranded on a desert island, whatever, a few different times.
But
he always gets away. Is the thing?
He always gets away.
He never actually gets.
But I think that the not getting caught is such a big thing for both of these characters because they're both technically doing illegal activity because Jack Sparrow's a pirate and Ben Gates is trying to save America. And so if you look at it, like you said, Ben Gates, like he never goes to jail. Jack Sparrow does end up in prison at one point, I think.
No, but he is on the run at one point in time.
Ben Gates?
Well, most of both movies, he's
but they don't.
I know he never gets caught, but it's not like. That's. I mean, I don't know how because he actually invites himself to the president's birthday and kidnaps the president. He's lucky that the president is such a fan of history, or else he would be in jail. But. Okay, so what do you think of who you picking? What do you got?
This is so hard. They both love adventure.
Before you decide, let me tell you is that I'm not picking who you think I would pick.
Okay. Which makes me know who you're picking. I would say that, even this I don't know, but I would say that Jack Sparrow has more action being right in the middle of the shit. Even though even though his goal when he's in that shit is to find some sort of crafty means of escape and get away and let everybody else fight, he does have to fight his way out often to get to that point. So he does have more experience there. Whereas Ben Gates is really, I mean, he's cerebral. He's a planner, right? He's working things out. He's analytical. We don't see him, obviously he's fit. You got to be fit to run, and you got to be fit to kidnap the president. That's rule number one. You have to be in shape to kidnap the president. But we never see, we don't even see him with, like, a gun or anything. I feel like maybe he has some physical confrontation, like in the second movie for a minute, but not really.
He could throw a flare.
He could throw a flare. Okay.
Yeah, he's got hands. Shaw does not have hands. Here's what I'll say.
Let me
is
ask
that
you this.
it comes, and I know my laptop is fucking freaking out. Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm listening.
So, even with obviously Ben Gates is a treasure hunter. With Jack Sparrow, he also has, like, a big part of those movies is procuring various items, and even finding the Fountain of Youth. So, like, what's more difficult to find, the Templar treasure or, like, a mermaid? Probably a mermaid. And and obviously Jack has, like, his compass and stuff, but he's still a pretty resourceful guy.
Yeah, that leads him to anything.
Yeah.
So here's what I want to say is that it comes down to a classic case of, and we've had this conversation with almost everybody that we face up because they're all very equal matches. If you told Ben Gates a week before the fight that it was going to happen, Ben Gates, I think, would win. Because he's a meticulous planner. But if these two bump into each other on the street, Jack Sparrow plans in the moment. He plans one step behind what he's actually doing, and somehow it still works. So my final answer here, given how we usually run things, is I would like to take Jack Sparrow because I think that unless Ben Gates knows exactly what he's getting into, which I feel like with Jack Sparrow you never know exactly what you're getting into because he's very manipulative, right? So unless Ben Gates knows exactly what he's getting into, he's not going to have the time to plan out exactly what he wants to do, and that's only going to work to Jack Sparrow's advantage. And Jack Sparrow also has, not that Ben Gates doesn't get himself into some chaos, but Jack Sparrow lives in that chaos. Like, if he doesn't have it, he creates it to be able to survive, right? He wants to put himself in that type of situation, right. And I think because of that, he's got more experience. I'm taking Jack Sparrow.
I'm inclined to agree with you for much of that point that you made. Jack is impulsive, and that's where he thrives. And if you take away Ben Gates's lemon juice and his, books and charts, then maybe he'll be able to spit a few facts at you for sure, but he's not going to be that good to you if he doesn't have time to explore his options and plan ahead. So that's definitely the biggest factor into why Jack Sparrow would win this fight. I have to agree. It's got to be Jack. And I think that
we've been agreeing a lot.
We have been agreeing a lot, but for the ones that you have to, like, really kind of think out, when they're so, like, these guys are each bringing their. I mean, we just said their sort of styles are completely
different cards to the table.
Exactly. So you really have to consider all that.
Yeah.
And again, like Jack, when he completes, like he adventures because that's who he is and that's what he does. And we see even when he like completes his adventures, he's on another one again. And even if it's small, like he's still living the pirate's life, so to speak. Whereas Ben Gates, once he found that Templar treasure, he was like, I'm just going to stay in this big-ass house with my wife and then get divorced and then get the house again. But whatever, you know what I mean? Like, he was like, okay, I'm good. And then he only comes back. Everything is about, like, his reputation. Whereas Jack Sparrow could not give less of a shit about having a bad reputation for the most part, as long as people know who he is.
His reputation is built on, who he is. I was going to say that his reputation is built on, like, how shitty of a person he is, to be completely honest. But that he loves it because that people know his name. Whereas Ben Gates will go through absolutely anything to clear his 5 times over great-grandfather name of
Jebediah Gates
present when the Lincoln assassination was
Jebediah Gates threw a rock at my window.
Come on,
no, you
Gates.
didn't.
Ben, listen.
I have to go on a 6-month quest.
Ben, like, get the fuck over yourself. I love you, Ben Gates.
And he
but,
is a genius.
Get the fuck over yourself, buddy. Like, it's okay.
But sometimes,
without a doubt.
Sometimes I guess not being a genius is an advantage. That's a genius.
All right,
Spoken
so
like a true genius.
I guess we'll lock in Jack Sparrow winning that.
Sparrow.
But as always, we'll bring it to the internet and we'll see what the internet has to say. Because if there's one thing I know through experience is that there's a lot of passionate National Treasure fans
as there
in the
should
world.
Be. And we are. I mean, and if anybody gets on there, and because we said Jack Sparrow, if anybody questions our National Treasure fandom, you can come meet us and we'll talk about that then.